Well, former Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison is doubling down in his defence of his secret ministerial appointments. Now, he says he did not misuse the powers that he conferred upon himself and had taken the decisions with the best of intentions. And he did not apologise. The country's Solicitor General earlier released a report that found Mr Morrison was validly sworn into those posts, but fundamentally undermined the principles of the government. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says that he intends to launch a further inquiry into his predecessor.
The advice, though, is, I think, a very clear criticism and critique of the implications that are there for our democratic system of government of what happened under the former Morrison government. Quite clearly, I think that Mr Morrison's behaviour was extraordinary, undermined our parliamentary democracy, and he does need to be held to account for it.
Mr Albanese says his cabinet will consider the nature of the inquiry at a future meeting, adding that it should be done with someone who's qualified to consider any legal implications. He's also promised to publish any future ministerial appointments to ensure transparency within the government and prevent history from repeating itself. Roger Maynard tells us how critics are responding to Mr Morrison's latest statement.
It's unlikely his critics will take much comfort from the statement by Mr Morrison, who welcomed today's advice from the Solicitor General that his decision to appoint himself to 5 ministerial portfolios was legal, but he appeared to be reluctant to go much further. He pointed out he took the action to safeguard the country in what he described as extraordinary circumstances. Given the serious crises facing Australia, he considered it prudent to put these authorities in place should they be necessary, as a safeguard, he explained. Well, the ex-Liberal leader said he would assist in any genuine inquiry, but that such an investigation should also examine individual states and territories. And that's an important point. Many of Australia's state premiers were perceived to have acted as so-called tin pot dictators during the pandemic, imposing draconian measures on their citizens, which many regarded as a gross overreaction to the crisis. So many will sympathise with the view that if Mr Morrison's actions are to be investigated, perhaps there is also a case for a much wider inquiry.